Hi everyone, welcome to Leisrealtalk. It's first day of May. Happy May. Okay, all right. Well, let's get started. Where do US China trade talks really stand and what's Xi Jinping's next move? Today I'll break down the latest developments inside the CCP and review new leaks from party insiders. In short, Xi Jinping plans to resort to Mao's old playbook, drag out the tariff war and overextend the enemy. All right, let me get into the details. In my opinion, the ongoing trade negotiations between China and the US are starting to look like an ugly breakup between two stubborn teenagers. Trump said Xi Jinping would have to call him first if he wanted to save the trade relationship. And so, grudgingly, Xi called. But instead of talking tariffs, Xi Jinping went straight for Trump's hot button, Taiwan. If you haven't already, watch my April 29th program to learn why Taiwan is at the heart of U.S. China trade talks. Meanwhile, China's foreign and commerce ministries scrambled to deny that any talks were happening at all. Chinese officials insisted there were no talks, no negotiations, no agreements with the Americans. But Trump told the press, our people have been talking with them every day. Then on the 24th, South Korean media spotted something unusual. A Chinese delegation was seen making a secret early morning trip around 7 a.m. to the U.S. Treasury Department. It's believed that China's finance minister, Lan Fuan, quietly slipped away from the G20 finance meeting in D.C., taking 10 aides with him for a closed-door meeting at the Treasury. What was discussed? No one knows. But we're already seeing the aftermath, and it doesn't look good. The talks appear to have failed. Both sides walked away angry. How do we know? Well, Trump didn't hold back. In an interview with ABC, when asked about the new 145% tariff on Chinese goods, he said bluntly, they deserve it. Beijing wasn't just upset, they wanted to make a public statement. Almost immediately after the secret talks collapsed, China's foreign minister Wang Yi showed up at a BRICS meeting in Brazil and gave a fiery speech calling on BRICS nations to unite against the US. He warned that appeasing the bully would only make it stronger, and if the world stayed silent, compromised, or backed down, the bully would only push further. So, in my assessment, the not-so-secret U.S.-China trade talks collapsed, and Beijing is furious. Just a day later, China's foreign ministry released a 2-minute slick, dramatic video, this time with both Chinese and English subtitles. The title of the video is called Not Kneeling or Never Kneel. The script was carefully crafted. It first accused the US of unleashing a global tariff storm, then it singled out China as the only country excluded from the 90-day tariff delay offered to the other countries. The video claims that the US was trying to strong arm other countries into cutting trade ties with China. It described the American tactics as deadly trap hiding in the eye of a typhoon. That's calm on the surface, but designed to lure China into disasters. So the video tried to portray Beijing as a heroic torchbearer standing up to US hegemony and defending global interests. And one scene really stood out. I want to share it with you. Let me see. I have a picture for you. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Yeah. Do you recognize this image? Yes? They used old footage of Meng Wanzhou, Huawei's CFO, wearing an ankle monitor while under house arrest in Vancouver. when she faced extradition to the U.S. And Meng returned to China after signing a plea deal and trading 2 Canadian hostages known as the 2 Michaels. So in Beijing's eyes, that episode was a diplomatic victory against the US. Anyways, and it wasn't just the foreign ministry trying to rally public support. Beijing Daily, where is Beijing Daily? Here we go. Here's Beijing Daily. Published a fiery article calling on citizens to reread or restudy Chairman Mao's famous speech in the 1930s, and it's called On Protracted War. Sometimes this speech is also translated as How China Will Win. Okay, that's what the speech is all about. I mean, On Protracted War is just a literal translation. I think more accurately, it should be translated as How China Will Win. So Mao wrote the speech in May 1938. Was it 1938? Yeah, maybe 1938, yes. During the early stages of the Second Sino-Japanese War, his message was clear. China could survive and eventually defeat a stronger enemy through a long, grinding struggle. So by invoking Mao's old speech, the CCP is signaling that it plans to apply Mao's strategies to the current trade war. So here are Mao's key points, still relevant today. First one is the war would be long and painful, but winnable. Mao argued that the people's willingness to endure hardship would eventually exhaust the enemy. And his second point was he defined three stages of war. The first stage is strategic defensive. Basically, in this stage, you avoid direct confrontation with the enemy and you preserve strength. The second stage is called strategic stalemate. It's a war of attrition. And the last stage is called strategic counteroffensive. Regain the initiative and push back. That's what the CCP did to the nationalists during the Civil War and won. So in my view, if you apply that theory to the tariff war, I think we've completed stage 1 and are now entering the strategic stalemate phase. And I'll explain why later. So Mao's third point is, or strategy is, the enemy's strength is only temporary. So Mao believed that Japan's early military dominance would fade due to overextension, resistance, and international isolation. The same idea Beijing is applying to the US today. And his last strategy is called mobilizing the people. And Mao believed that victory would depend not just on the army, but on mobilizing the entire population for resistance and sacrifice. So the word sacrifice is the key. Beijing is, by republishing or reiterating or reintroducing Mao's speech, Beijing is telling both the Chinese public and the world that it expects the U.S.-China trade war to be long, painful, and costly. They're preparing for a strategy of attrition and endurance, even if it means economic hardship and social suffering. It was also an attempt to stir up nationalism and justify the sacrifices that may be required. Now, the Beijing Daily article declared that only by embracing Mao's playbook could China march forward in what it called the long march of the new era. But the Chinese public wasn't buying it. Right underneath the article, the comments section erupted with sarcasm and mockery. So let me read you some of the comments. One user joked, "It's time to teach us the proper way to eat tree bark." Don't laugh. I actually found a picture. Here's a picture of Chinese people eating tree bark during the Great Famine. Yeah, so starving Chinese did, in fact, eat tree bark, as this picture shows. And another crypt, better share some gourmet recipes for eating guanyin clay. If you haven't heard about this term, that's the infamous famine era clay that people once ate to survive. Others were even more blunt. It says, this list of sacrifices includes you and me, never them. Another person said, the only card they have left is play. The only card they have left to play is us, the people. And one cutting comment referring to the video, the video's bold title, Not Kneeling, summed up public frustration. And it says, gee, nobody asked you to kneel. The Americans asked you to sit down and negotiate. I thought that was very well written. So it now looks like Beijing, or should say China, may be heading toward total decoupling and a closed-door era where the entire nation braces for extreme hardship, even starvation. The CCP believes it can rely on its authoritarian system and on the Chinese people's exceptional ability to endure hardship. That's why Beijing dares to go head-to-head with the U.S., unafraid that its people might end up eating tree bark if things get tough. Now, let me talk about the information shared by Professor Yuan Hongbin through his sources in Beijing. So according to party insiders, Cai Qi, the man in charge of ideology and propaganda, reportedly proposed this radical new strategy to the top leadership. And this push for protracted war narrative, it wasn't just Beijing Daily trying to sound bold. According to Professor Yuan, this was a direct order from Xi Jinping himself. She told the entire Communist Party to study Mao's speech, this time to prepare for Trump's escalating tariff war. And his strategy moving forward, as Professor Yuan received from his sources in Beijing, is this. Lower tariffs on some goods as a soft approach, but impose higher tariffs on others. Pull back in certain areas while pushing forward in others. So in other words, the CCP plans to mix its tactics, being tough at times and conciliatory at others. And the goal of this two-phased strategy is to drag out the conflict and exploit divisions inside the US. And who's going to lead this effort in the party? Well, there's no other. Xi Jinping's top loyalist, Cai Qi, who has been telling the party members, we survived the economic disasters during the Great Famine in the 1960s. We can certainly survive this one too. Frankly, the leaked information does line up with what we are already observing. Beijing is absolutely preparing for a long, painful trade war. They are softening on some goods while staying hard on others. Today, a social media account run by China's state TV, CCTV, and the social media account is called 玉渊谈天, posted an article claiming that, according to exclusive sources, listen to this, the United States has recently reached out to China through multiple channels to restart tariff negotiations. And the article also stated that at this stage, talking wouldn't hurt China. Well, this tone marks a sharp contrast from Beijing's earlier tough talk about no talks, no negotiations, and fighting to the end. The Financial Times analyzed the move, saying that Beijing is deliberately signaling openness to talks through social media, trying to cool public expectations and pave the way for future negotiations. In my view, this new rhetoric is just part of CCP's two-faced strategy. It's two sides of the same coin. It doesn't mean Beijing has had a change of heart and is suddenly eager to negotiate with the Americans, nor does it mean they're still stuck in a state of anger. It's only a tactic. Remember, the CCP is a two-faced creature. 2 days ago, a copy of an internal CCP document surfaced on social media, and it's called, quote, Tariff Countermeasure Exclusion List for U.S. Goods under Reciprocal Tariffs. And this is list number 1, so it's only part 1. I actually have a image of the list, but it's probably too small. By the way, I provided the link to this list in the description, so you can take a look yourself. It's it lists 131 types of goods that will receive exemptions from reciprocal tariffs. Essentially, I took a quick look at the list. All chips except memory chips have been exempted. Equipment used in semiconductor manufacturing is exempted, along with medical devices and supplies, animal feed or some types of animal feed, silicon, I don't know if I'm saying the word right, ethane. It's so hard to say this word. 乙烷. In Chinese, we say 乙烷. In English, it's ethane. No, ethane. You know what I'm talking about. It's the important ingredient, important material in making plastic. All right, so that and some antibiotics, some pharmaceuticals, industrial generators, turbo engines, aircraft parts, aviation equipment, and more. All of them are high-tech supplies and equipment that China cannot produce domestically. So take ethane. How am I saying this word? Ethane. I give up. You know what I'm talking about. So take that, for example. It's a critical material used to make plastics. The U.S. produced 90 to 95% of the world's ethane. And China buys nearly half of all U.S. exports. So why the sudden tariff exemption? On one hand, it eases the pressure on Chinese petrochemical companies. Outside the U.S., China simply cannot find any other country that can supply enough 乙烷 to replace that much, right? To replace that much 乙烷. But there's another reason. The 125% punitive tariff didn't just hurt the industry. It also threatens the profits of a powerful faction inside the CCP itself, because ethane. Oh my goodness. All right. By the end of this program, I hope I'll learn how to pronounce this word. Someone help me here, please. All right. So this substance is classified as an energy commodity in China. To import it, companies need special permits approved by the National Energy Administration. Under the agency, there is a state-run firm called China Energy Import and Export Company. This company is completely controlled by a specific CCP faction, and they receive all the import licenses. And then this firm works with the local branches of that particular faction and a network of shadowy front companies owned by other CCP elite families. So slapping 125% tariff on this chemical was like wiping out the CCP elites, their companies' profits. So people who are in this industry, Chinese who are in this industry, are saying that the internal backslash uh, would certainly put enormous pressure on Xi Jinping to reduce the tariff. And this isn't just about yuan, that chemical that I can't pronounce. In China, all major import businesses are carved up among powerful political families and interest groups. Take soybeans, for example. The trade is reportedly controlled by none other than Peng Liyuan's family, Xi Jinping's wife. Under the old system, only large ports like Dalian, Qingdao, Shanghai, Guangzhou could handle grain imports. But after Xi Jinping came to power, a special exception was made. The tiny port of Longkou in Shandong, Madame Peng's home province, was authorized for soybean imports. So soybeans coming through Longkou got fast-tracked inspections. The customs clearing business was fully controlled by companies tied to Madame Peng's relatives, who charged steep clearance fees and made huge profits. So this is just one example of how the CCP elite profit from China's import business. All right, so let's talk about the latest Politburo meeting that was held on April 25th. So this meeting had an official theme, which was called Analyzing the Current Economic Situation and Economic Work. But what really mattered were three major policy signals. First, the Politburo acknowledged the need to respond to the uncertainties caused by the rapidly changing external environment. Translation, the leadership now believes international situation has turned extremely unfavorable for them. The second signal was they declared the need to coordinate domestic economic work to fight the international trade war. This basically signals that Beijing is preparing for a long and bitter trade war with the U.S. Third, they introduced four areas of concerns, the four stabilities. The stability of jobs or employment, the stability of businesses. The third is stabilizing markets, and the last one is stabilizing expectations. In short, the Chinese government is preparing to throw everything it has to prevent a total economic collapse. So how does Beijing prepare for the upcoming storms? What has it been doing? Well, yesterday, China's long-delayed private the CCP passed a law, but it was a long-delayed law called Private Economy Promotion Law. It was finally passed at a National People's Congress Standing Committee meeting. The law will take effect on May 20th. This law was supposed to pass at the two sessions in March, but it didn't. I don't know the reason why it didn't pass, but it did yesterday. The new law officially enshrines the two unwavering principles. It's a CCP slogan dating back to 2002. What are the two principles? First one is unwavering, consolidate and develop the state-owned economy. Principle number two is unwaveringly, it's a mouthful to say, unwaveringly encourage, support, and guide the private company. But can this law actually rescue China's private sector? Okay, well, here are more details. The Article 2 of the law mandates that efforts to promote private business must uphold the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party and ensure the correct political direction. Article 34 reinforces that party organizations will continue to provide political guidance to private businesses. It essentially highlights a core contradiction. China's so-called socialist market economy is self-conflicting, right? A true market economy relies on private ownership and freedom of association, two things the CCP cannot tolerate. Today, private businesses make up over 90% of Chinese enterprises. By the end of 2024, they contributed over 50% of tax revenue, more than 60% of GDP, 70% of technological innovation, over 80% of urban jobs. In trade, private companies accounted for $2.32 trillion of China's $3.6 trillion in exports in 2024. That's 65% of the total. But in China's socialist economy, they remain second-class citizens. For the past 20 years, inefficient, state-owned enterprises have maintained dominance, right? Resources pivoted to them, and then the party control of private companies have only tightened. So this new law only deepens that control. This law does not give the market needed freedom. This law only deepens the control over the private sector. So the impact of this law is best explained by one Chinese business owner. So he summed it up perfectly. He said, "This law feels like a chain. The authorities want us to dance, but with shackles on." Okay, so let me summarize. I've been talking for a while. What I want to say is this: Beijing's trade war strategy is clear. Drag out the conflict, overextend the enemy, in this case, the United States, exploit U.S. internal divisions, and rely on the Chinese people's endurance. That's its strategy. But behind the slogans and propaganda, the cracks are already there. Private businesses are suffering, right? And foreign trade is shrinking, and public patience is running out. Xi Jinping may believe he can revive Mao Zedong's old strategy and force a victory. But this isn't the 1930s. Today's Chinese people are questioning and pushing back in ways the party cannot fully control. So I think the real battle isn't just between governments, it's between a regime and a population reaching its breaking point. So the question is not whether Xi Jinping can fight, but whether the people will keep following him. All right, that's all I have for tonight. I want to let you know that in my other channel, Looking Glass, Lei's Looking Glass, we released a new video tonight. It's about China's sinking cities. Yes, China's large cities, including Beijing and Shanghai, are sinking and sinking fast. So Chris has hopefully provided the link in the description. Chris, can you provide the link here in the chat so that people can check it out after this live stream? And also, I want to tell you that I provided the links, reference links in the description. One is the tariff exemption list. I think those of you who are in the international trade business should take a look at that list. It's not a public list. It's an internal document, but somehow got leaked. It has 131 items, and this is list number one, batch number one. So I provided the link and also provided the article that talks about Madame Peng's soybean business. And then also the CCP's propaganda video, not kneeling. I also provided the link. Yeah, that video, I mean, it's just a typical CCP propaganda video. I don't want to play it here, but if you want to watch it, the link is in the description. It's only, 2-minute long. That's all. That's all. Has someone try to help me pronounce the word, that chemical? How do you say that? Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm hoping to see someone trying to help me pronounce that word. Okay. All right. I haven't reached that point. All right. Nothing. No one is helping me? Someone's saying that I'm being a mouthpiece for China propaganda. I don't think so. Well, you have to talk about CCP's propaganda if you want to analyze them. You cannot avoid them if you want to study what they're up to. So you cannot be afraid to talk about their propaganda. I don't think I'm promoting CCP propaganda here. All right. Uh, okay, so far, I have not seen anyone trying to help me pronounce that chemical, whose Chinese name is Yuan. All right. Someone said, "Oh, here. Ethereum. No, Ethereum. Okay, all right. Ethian, Ethian. So hard. If it's a oops, meant okay. All right, okay, that's all. I will look it up after this because such an easy word, and yet I cannot say it right. I know I'm not saying it right. Um, Ed then. Ed then. Someone said Ed then. All right. Okay, I give up. Okay, that's all. Okay. All right. I think I'll end it. Oh, here's a Wesley Bruce. Here's a super sticker. I suspect Trump started talking to people that were not in Beijing and not in Xi's faction. He did that with Europe. You mean Chinese officials who are not in Beijing and not in Xi's faction? Um, yeah. I think the US government should know by now that there are other people. There's a deep state in China. There are others controlling, uh, pulling the strings behind the scene. Um, and Xi Jinping may be just a puppet. But although he still has a lot of power, so I'm sure they know, and I'm sure they, they are talking. Um, Chris, Lei, I'm sad for the Chinese people. Xi Jinping doesn't want to lose face on giving in. The Chinese economy is being replaced by Vietnam and other countries. Yes, indeed, I am sad. I think famine will hit China. There will be a a big percentage of the population who are not able to who don't have the money to feed themselves. That will happen in China, and it will be very sad. There will be starvation. Scott D, thank you. All right. Oh yeah, Chris posted the video link on China's sinking cities. All right. Thank you. Oh, here's Mark Irvin. Oh, thank you, Mark, for the super sticker. Okay. All right. Ethian? Ethane. That's the word. Ethian. 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 Someone said, I love how this woman talks and that flame around the beautiful portrait. Oh, is there a flame frame? I don't know. All right. Okay. Well, I'm glad that I'm glad that you like the information I provide. All right, that seems to be all. I like to end this talk a little early if there are no other super stickers. I want to thank people. Everyone is helping me to pronounce that word. Okay, I'd better look it up. Next time when I do a live stream, I'll tell you how I will I'll show you that I have learned the word from okay. From David Rocha, here's a question forwarded by Chris. What are your thoughts on Trump saying no one can do business with America if they buy oil from Iran and China buys 90% of its oil from Iran? I think it's targeting China. I mean, China will feel the pain. Uh, yeah. I mean, Trump has been saying that Xi Jinping is his friend, but the latest comment when he said they deserve it, I mean, it was shocking to a lot of Chinese because when you translate that into Chinese, it's terrible. I mean, they deserve it. Doesn't sound as bad in English, but in Chinese, it is 活该, which sounds terrible. But if you think about it, there's no other way to translate they deserve it. It is 活该. But 活该 just sounds terrible. Um, yeah. So, okay. People are still trying to help me how to say the word. Okay, from Netflix forum, it seems like whenever the carders they never miss an opportunity to create artificial scarcity and price gauge people when they can. Thoughts? Yeah. I mean, there are two classes in China, the privileged and then the underprivileged. Uh, the privileged are probably just, I don't know, hundreds of thousands people. It's a very small group, maybe 1 million people, 2 millions. But they're really, I mean, in terms of the privileged people, they are a small group. And everyone else in China serve this small group of people. So very sad. So depends on which demographics you fall in. Do you fall into the privileged or the underprivileged? Of course, you're going to say different things about China. Okay, I will end it here. Oh, Wesley Bruce, thank you. Propane, ethane. Oh yeah, plane. Yes, that's right. Propane. I know how to say propane. Ethane, ethane, ethane. It doesn't rhyme. Ethane and propane. Oh, Lei is screwed. Sorry. I'm in big trouble. I can't say this word. Despite all the efforts to help me, Lei is in trouble. Propane. I can say propane, but I can't say ethane. I'm not saying it right. Oh, I have to laugh. Sorry. This will be my homework for today. Okay, I promise I'll learn the word. That's all for tonight. I thank everyone for joining me. I thank you for your effort to help me pronouncing this word. I promise I won't disappoint you. I'll learn it, memorize it, and show it to you next time. And that's all. Okay? All right. Bye.